I went to see him play at the Lyceum before he'd ever had a hit in Britain. I mean, I Want to Be Your Lover got to the 40s, but he'd never had a big hit. And I went with Bob Geldof and Paula Yates and their friend Chris Hill. It was not a sellout. Can you believe this? A Prince gig in London that was not a sellout. It was in the Lyceum, which in those days was a stand-up dance venue. And he got to this song, which was called I Want to Jack You Off. And he did an extended version. And I'll never forget Chris Hill, who was a record executive. And he was just going, I want to jack you off, because it was musically so exciting that it didn't matter how rude the words were or if he even meant them. I mean, Chris Hill, knowing him personally, did not want to jack Prince off. But the excitement of it all got him going. And everyone was just going, jack you off. I mean, who'd ever heard a crowd acting like that? But Prince did that. And he wasn't even famous yet, but he was that charismatic a live performer.
God, I remember watching him one time with Sting on stage, actually messing with him. Because you know, there's always these hand signals, and I'd always have to watch him because certain hand signals meant certain turnarounds and whatever. There was musical things that went on, so I'd have to constantly watch him. And so that, you know, when he did something, if there was a certain hand signal, a certain thing they were going to play, I'd have to do some lighting cue that happened along with that. So I remember that one time when Sting was on stage, he just started just firing off these signals. And of course the band's going all over the place, and Sting's just trying to, oh, he's up there trying to play away, trying to figure out what I think he just finally gave up after a while because he knew he was just messing with him.
Prince was, as reported, as versatile musically in terms of his ability to pick up and play instruments as people wrote and said. I mean, I've heard it quoted anywhere from 17 to 27 instruments. I never saw him play each and every one of them, but it was a common thing in rehearsal for us to do, you know, sort of a switcheroo, and Prince would move from playing guitar to playing bass to playing keyboards to playing drums, and just was equally fluid on every instrument.
Very few people get to see him in soundcheck, but he'll be playing guitar with one hand, keyboards with another, while he's got the drum machine going. I mean, if he had more hands, he'd be playing all that stuff. It's really wild. And that's how his brain works. I mean, it's all kind of the same, and he's focusing in on little bits and pieces all the time.
I was mixing this movie, Under the Cherry Moon, and I was in Hollywood, and back then you had to carry these huge reels of tape. And I pulled up to Todd A.O., it was a film mix studio, and I was carrying 2 reels of tape, very clumsy, and walk into the parking lot, and I see Prince talking to somebody with his back to me, and I walk up, and I get closer, he turns around, it's Michael Jackson. And I went, oh, wow. And at the time, I had a semi-hit record with a group called the Jets. Prince was proud because I was his friend, and anyway. I walk up and he says, David, do you know Michael? And I went, no. He goes, hi, how you doing? Shakes my hand. I went, hi. And then they start talking about something they were going to do together, and I said, okay, it's time for me to leave. So I turned and walked away and went up the stairs, and I heard Prince telling Michael Jackson, he's too busy to talk to you right now. He's got a hit record. I went, oh, Jesus. He told him that. I go in, sit down, in a movie mix studio, there's music, there's dialogue, and there's sound effects. There's 4 guys sitting there on a big long board. And it's like a theater, but with no seats. There's a ping pong table between the screen and the board. And we're mixing away, and it starts to sound good. And Prince comes in with his bodyguard. Michael comes in with his bodyguard. And he's all excited because it starts to sound good, and everything's sounding good. And he goes to Michael Jackson. By the way, Prince is very, very competitive. And he said, you want to play ping pong? And Michael goes, oh, I don't know. I don't know how to play ping pong, but I'll try. So they go up there, and they're hitting the ball back and forth, and we're trying to work. And I'm going, this is annoying. I went, wait a minute. Nobody's ever going to believe this. I got to call somebody, because there's Prince and Michael Jackson playing ping pong in front of us. And the other engineers are going like that. and Prince goes to Michael, he goes, do you want me to slam it? And Michael goes, oh, go ahead. So he slams the ball, and Michael drops the paddle and goes like this to protect his face from the ball. The game's over, obviously. And Michael Jackson leaves with his bodyguard, and Prince is strutting around the studio like a rooster going, did you see that? He played like Helen Keller. It was crazy. He was all proud because he won.